everyone. I'm Lizette Castaneda with Hotel Industry Talk, and I'm so excited. I have a very special guest, Maria Navarro, who is a professional hospitality copywriter who can deliver high-quality content in English and Spanish. Welcome, Maria.
Yes, thank you so much, Lizette. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for joining me.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for being here. Now, we're going to start with a round of fun, authentic questions. What's your go-to coffee or tea order when you're writing?
When I'm writing, I'm both like coffee and tea kind of person. When I'm writing though, coffee 100%. So I usually go for like just regular house-made, like my little cup of coffee. I have my favorite cup for when I'm writing too. I'm that kind of person. little bit of caramel and that's it. Yeah.
Nice. Now, how many cups do you normally have a day?
Two. I want to say two. I try not to do more. So I'll have one in the morning, maybe another one in the afternoon, but two is my limit.
Yeah, same. I usually do two. Like I'm having one right now at 11 a.m. and then right when I wake up. Now, if you could work from anywhere in the world for a month, where would you go?
Ooh, that's a good question because I love to go so many different places. I want to say my first instinct was Iceland. I've always wanted to go there. Just nature-wise, I feel like, I don't know, it will be so different to where I've lived so far. So I would say that. How about you?
For me, I love Greece. I've never been. I've always wanted to go.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. And so maybe Greece, but I watched, did you ever watch Sisterhood of Traveling Pants?
Oh my God. Of course I did. It's like the dream movie ever. Like I wanted to find a pair of pants that I could just sew with my friends too.
Yeah, same. So, and I think I just fell in love with Greece through that. And then of course all these other movies, but that's on my bucket list.
Yep. Mamma Mia did that for me too. So
yes. Yep. Don't get me to start singing. I'm terrible, but I love that movie. So what's one book or movie that inspires your creativity?
Ooh, also a good question. So a good movie, honestly, and I was gonna say Mamma Mia just because of the traveling and like the family connection side of things. Like, yes, it's so fun, but also like being there with like, you know, your mom, your family, you're getting married, that kind of environment for me is what inspires my creativity. So I would say something towards there too.
Yeah, I love that.
Bringing it up. Yeah.
If you could eat one type of food for a month, what would that be?
Mexican food. This one's so easy for me. Mexican, yes, always my comfort food.
I love that. I know. I miss some good Mexican food. I cook a little bit, and I'm starting to learn some, meals. Like mole is a big one for our family.
That's like difficult. That's like,
oh my gosh. Yeah. There's so much that goes into it, but that's my goal, is to master my great grandmother's mole recipe.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Now, if you weren't a copywriter, what job would you be doing?
I always wanted to be, when I was growing up, a teacher. Like I loved like being with kids. Like I'm the oldest of 5 kids back home. So like I kind of grew up almost being a teacher. I was just taking care of my siblings the entire time. Like helping them with school, and I just remember thinking like, oh, I want to be a teacher, and I would love that still. So I think I'll be a teacher.
That's so great. I feel like we're kind of connected in this, way, because I actually was going to school to be a teacher, and that didn't happen, which is okay. But now I'm, in the hotel world, which I love. But
we kind of fell into this, but yeah.
Hospitality found us.
Yep.
So can you share your journey into copywriting and what inspired you to focus on that specific part of the industry?
Yeah, absolutely. So I fell in love with hospitality when I was probably like 18 years old. I had the opportunity to like graduate from high school, and I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I think it's such a huge decision to like choose what you want to be at such a young age. Like now that I think about it, I'm like 18. What did I know about life? Like I still don't know much, but like being 18, I'm like, how was I supposed to find it? So I had the opportunity to go to Canada for a year. I learned French and I practiced my English. And then I think traveling, that was my first time abroad, first time by myself, first time for a lot of things. So going into a different country and just being immersed in all that hospitality really is, I was like, why don't I do this for a living? Like I want to find a career that's like, kind of in the same world or feeling that I'm feeling right now when I left home. So I found hospitality. I remember I called my parents back home and I was like, I know what I want to do when I come back. And it's going to be hospitality. So I went back to Mexico and then I got into school for hospitality management. And I also did a second degree on business administration. I was like, I want to have a little bit of both. I think they go together pretty well. So that's what I did. I ended up getting an internship abroad at a hotel in Rhode Island. That was my first professional experience in the hospitality world. So I went over there. It was like a manager in training program. So they rotated me through all these different departments in the hotel, like housekeeping, front desk, food and beverage, all of it. And I pretty much fell in love more than anything with the F&B part of things, just personally. So when my internship there ended and I went back home, I found a job here in New Jersey now with a company that had local hotels and bars and restaurants and all of that. So I work in there. And then I just always, I'm a big, like you said before, college is like a journalist or a journal girl. So writing was always a big thing for me, but I never even considered thinking of it as a career or a job itself. I was just like, this is something that I do for me. Nobody ever read what I wrote. So I saw an ad on Instagram about something copywriting. I'm like, what the hell is copywriting? I didn't even know what that was. So that was kind of a little voice in my head that I had of why don't I just give myself a chance and kind of look into what copywriting is. Quit my job as a food and beverage supervisor to focus on copywriting. I was like, I'm just gonna go for it. I can't shut that voice up, so I'm just gonna go for it. So I remember just sitting down one day. I was doing a course, so I did a copywriting training program and everything. But while I was still doing that, I was like, I'm just gonna write something for the hell of it. I'm just gonna see how I feel. I need to just get over the fear of somebody else reading what I'm writing. So I wrote a blog about why hospitality changes you as a person. And I used a picture that somebody took of me on one of my shifts, eating a slice of pizza, sitting in the racks. And I think the combination of using that photo plus it being a really raw and personal blog, I didn't even want to edit it that much. I was like, no, I'm going to change the whole thing. I'm just going to post it. And the internet kind of did its thing. It kind of went viral on LinkedIn. People started reaching out to me thinking that I already had a business or that I was doing this as my full-time job. So I was like, I need to get a website tomorrow. I need to do all these things. So that blog really just was the one thing that got me out there as far as copywriting goes. And I decided to focus on hospitality because one, that's where my expertise was at. That's what I knew, back and forth. Also, that's because that's what I love. And I feel like when you're writing about something, it's not going to come across the same way if you don't love it. So that's why I was like, I'm going to go straight for hospitality as well.
Yeah, that is incredible. And I love that you just went for it. You listen to that inner voice that says just do it because I'm sure. And we talked a little bit about imposter syndrome, which I'll bring up in a little while. But from that initial blog post, what is another piece of writing that you are just most proud of, or you felt like this piece is setting me on the right path?
I would still say blogs in general are maybe my strong suit, but also the thing that I enjoy the most writing about or of. I love writing blogs. I'm big on social media posts as well, keeping it kind of short and simple, but being able to connect with people through a post. So I would say my blog posts in general is something that I'm very proud of.
I love that. Now, what does your creative process look like when a hotel reaches out to you or maybe a brand reaches out to you for support? What does that look like for you, that process?
Yeah, I mean, the most important thing, at least for me, is obviously to get a really good sense of who they are, if it's just one person kind of thing, or if it's a hotel brand, and kind of look into what they want to accomplish, right? And I found that it's funny because I would say 99% of the people that have reached out to me have always mentioned oh my gosh, I initially wanted to talk to you because it said hospitality copywriter. So even just that one word of being the difference between they share with me that maybe they talk to different copywriters, but somebody that knew the industry from within was what they were missing to be able to connect with someone. And that's when I was like, there was a void, or I feel sometimes there is a void still of feeling that voice that talks about hospitality from the inside out and not just focusing on the side that we present to the guests, guests or to our employees, just really focus on like what happens on the inside of hospitality and how that kind of connects with people. So I would say get to know them. Like I said, I have like 50 notebooks all the time around me. So like all my ideas come at most random times. I could be walking my dog and be like, oh my gosh, I know what I'm gonna do. So I just like to write a lot of my thoughts in there and then come up with a plan that just fits what they're looking for. If it's like multiple kinds of content, if it's a one-time kind of thing or like a monthly thing, I just want to make sure there's communication and that I understand what they want to achieve.
Awesome. Now, can you share with the audience like what type of content you do put together for hotels?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it can, and I write on my website, like any kind of writing or anything that you might have in mind. I would say the most like common things are actually blogs, like I said, social media posts, newsletters are big too, email campaigns. I've done like resumes as well. So for people who are looking to apply or just want to kind of like see maybe if they want to do something different with their resume and kind of make it a little bit more exciting. That's also something that I do. And pretty much, like I said, any kind of writing thing that they're looking for, cover letters, all that kind of stuff, I'm happy to jump in and help.
I love that. I love that so much. Now, as far as storytelling, because you touched on it a little bit as well, we're seeing that evolving in our industry, right? People want to connect more with the guest experience. And we're seeing like AI also kind of coming into our world, right? And how do you see storytelling right now evolving in our industry? And what are some trends that you're starting to notice?
I think that's such an interesting topic too right now, specifically in our industry where it's like people focused and now we're having this, AI, which is, I think it's a sword with like a double, you can either love it, it can be super useful, you can really just not know how to use it. And I think that's the key, knowing when and how to use it. Like if you use AI for, inspirations, creating ideas and stuff like that, I think also as people in general, you can tell when it's something that AI generated, even though it might sound amazing and everything, you can feel a difference when someone's writing like personally and when someone's like just copying and pasting the whole thing. So in my opinion, and I've seen a lot of people maybe come up with an idea that they found on AI, but they are like switching it to fit their brand, which I think that that's okay. That's like a good use of technology, but then also adding that personal touch of like, I am actually putting, my thoughts and effort on creating something for someone else. So I think the hospitality industry might be affected like every other industry by AI, but it's just that little reminder of there's a person that's actually sitting across the screen now that's putting in an effort. So I think that's important to keep in mind too.
Yeah, I love that advice. And I recently took a generative AI training course through one of the universities here locally in Tampa, and I highly recommend it. So if anybody's out there and listening, because AI, we're not going to get away from it. It's not going to stop. If anything, it's just going to
grow.
Yeah. So it's really important to understand the tool. And I think having even an initial training of what it is, because people think AI, they say Chat GPT, but that is actually a form of generative AI. Like there's so many other things that exist. And to your point, I part of that class was writing, right? A lot of people are using it for their writing, but I think you said it perfectly. It's supposed to help your imaginative process, your creative process. It's not supposed to replace it.
Yes, I love that. I love that explanation. It's nice and simple, but it's literally the point. Yep, I agree.
Yeah. Now, what impact do you hope your writing has on readers, and how can brands use emotion or narrative to connect more deeply with their guests and audience?
I love that question. And it's kind of like an easy but a hard one too, to like put my thoughts together and kind of explain the answer that I'm thinking about right now. And I'm just going back to one experience that I had, and it was with that one blog I told you, the first one I wrote about how it changes you as a person to work in hospitality. And to summarize my answer, there was this one guy who reached out to me, I think maybe like a month after I wrote the blog, and he sent me a message on LinkedIn, and he said he was having such a rough week of work, and he found my article, and he was like, that literally gave me the push that I needed to go back to work and like in a better mood, and like, so thank you so much. I was like, I don't even know this person, like he's not a close friend, he's not a family member, and I was able to have an impact so big and maybe so little that he woke up and said, you know what, I'm going to go back to work and I'm going to give it my all. So that to me, and I have that in the back of my mind with everything that I write, I'm like, if this tiny little thing can maybe make someone feel good at that moment in their lives, that's what I'm going to do. And I think that's the great thing about writing and about using, like you said, AI and just technology overall in a wise way, so that people are still able to know, oh, this is Lisette who's writing to me, or like this is Maria who's writing to me, not like an AI tool. So just the ability to impact somebody in any kind of way, for me at least, that's my fuel, that's my motivation. And I think writing has that power where I can't see your face and you can't listen to my voice, but like if what I wrote maybe has an impact, that's what I want to do. Yeah,
I love that, Maria. Thanks for sharing that. Now, what inspires you? Because I feel your inspiration. I feel your passion for this industry, which is contagious. So thank you for that. Like you're pouring your heart. What inspires you, drives you to do this and keep going every day and supporting the industry?
It might sound weird, but what inspires me is my past self. So when I first started working in this industry, I was 18, 19, maybe a little bit younger, maybe a little bit older, I can't remember. But I remember going up, you know, for 10-hour shifts. I remember not knowing what the hell I was doing. I remember feeling so unsure. So I remember every single feeling. And I was like, if there could be a way for me to go back in time and kind of like have a talk with myself and be like, hey, you know what? This is going to be fine. This is how you're going to find your way. If I can be that voice for somebody else who is starting, somebody else who might have years but maybe forgot what it feels like to just start in this industry, that's what inspires me. Kind of like going back to thinking, how was I feeling? How can I help somebody else who might be feeling the same way? I think especially with now in this industry, so many things are changing and we sometimes can lose focus on like why we do what we do, like why hospitality is so amazing. So I'm trying to still be that voice of like, yes, this is a business and it's an amazing industry, but also like look at the people around you and kind of find those connections. So for me, it's kind of like going back to my past self and being like, you know, this was all worth it. You're going to be fine. This is what happened. So that's my inspiration, even though it sounds cool.
No, I love that. I love that. And we talked about like how the industry found us. And I started off as a front desk agent. And I think that's really when it started to the point of connecting with people, and that ultimately, like our industry, that's what it is. It's literally connecting with every single guest, anybody who works in the industry, you know, that's who you want to attract, right? Now, for people who are not sure what's next for them, and I know you said some great things earlier, but what are some skills that you think people should have, you know, or start developing before they get into this industry? So think about, you know, a college student who isn't sure, but maybe this pops up, right? What are some things you think that they should, you know, have within themselves or start preparing to have when they enter into the industry?
I think anybody who has worked in this industry might agree that hospitality just like teaches you so many different skills in every single area. Like you don't even know what's coming. You're just like jumping in, learning how to swim while you're in the water, which I think it's amazing. So I would try and summarize it all in just saying, be ready to step out of your comfort zone. Like you might have an idea of what you're going to do, but you're not going to do that. You're going to do so much more. And you're going to be like, what do you mean I'm learning to do this? Or like, what do you mean I'm doing this now? And that to me summarizes what hospitality does to you. It doesn't matter if you're front desk, I was in F&B, I was housekeeping, I was all of this, and you have an idea of what that role is going to be like. But hospitality, because it's a people-focused business and you're in contact with people every single day, you don't know what that day's going to throw at you. So I would say just get ready to, you know, step out of your comfort zone and be open to learning new things. They're going to look different every day, but I would just say try and work on the mindset of like, I'm stepping out of my comfort zone and I'm coming back like even stronger on the other side.
Yeah, that's such great advice. Thank you. Another question, we talked about imposter syndrome a little bit before we started the call. How do you get through when you're feeling like imposter syndrome starting to, you know, show up for you?
Yes, and I know exactly. We talked about this, and it's so hard. I think every single person has been there, and it is going to continue to happen because we're human beings, and that's how we are. And we also talked about journaling and stuff like that. To me, that's a super powerful tool. Like I would just write like manifesting affirmations that would just make me feel good when I read them out loud. Like, I am enough, I am creative, I bring value to people's businesses or stuff like that. So if you can come up with maybe like 3 or 5 affirmations, I'm not asking for a lot. And it's just kind of like fake it till you make it in a way. You might not believe it the first time you read them, but if you just keep going at them, you're going to feel a little bit, at least in my case, stronger. So it's like, okay, you know what, we got this. And it's kind of talking back to that imposter syndrome version of you. And you're talking back at it like, no, we got this. Like, I'm going to try it out. If I fail, I'm going to learn something, but I'm going to go for it. So I think that's so important. And it happens to everyone. So that's a work for me.
Yeah, that's wonderful. It's so great that you're saying that, because I started practicing affirmations and talking to myself in the mirror. And it works. It really does. It's one of those things where you're training your mind to, we have that flight or fight, but you're actually training your mind to say, I'm not, like, I belong, I'm capable, I can do this. Because the moment you don't think, that anxiety starts to form, and then you start living in a place of, I need to protect myself, and then all this fear starts coming, right? So I've been speaking to myself with affirmations, and it is a game changer. So great.
It is.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks so much, Maria. Now, are there any final thoughts or final advice that you want to share with other hoteliers or people maybe just not sure about our industry who maybe want to start, joining our industry?
Yeah, I mean, I think my final maybe piece of advice, or just like a general thought, it would be to listen to that voice in your head. If you have it in your head, it's meant to be there for a reason, and it's not going to go away until you listen to it, and it comes from just personal experience. So again, hospitality is an industry that will welcome you with open arms, also a bunch of different challenges. And I don't know a single person that has said, I regret working in hospitality, or like, oh, I wish I didn't start this job. Every single person, despite the challenges, have said like, this industry changed me. This industry gave me my friends. This industry, to me, it led to my current life, to like meeting my husband, to having the friends that I have. So it's like, it's a path that just has so many different ways you can go, and you can just really be a better person at the end of it. And I think that's the whole point of life in general. So like, if hospitality can do that for you and you love being in contact with people, just go for it. And it's not going to be a regret. I can promise that.
Awesome. I love that. Thank you so much, Maria. It was so good talking to you, and I'm so excited to share this with everybody. I will share Maria's social media handles, and she does have a website. Is it marianavarro.com?
It's mariaredding.com. Super easy. Yeah.
Yep. Awesome. So I'll share the handles. And again, I appreciate you for being here.
I appreciate you so much, and thank you for everything you do, everything you're doing for the industry and yourself. You're an amazing person. So I'm so glad that I got to meet you.
Same. Thank you so much, Maria. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
Bye-bye.